So, hello everyone. We're going to just do a little bit about the quotient rule in order to advance for next lesson. So if you look into your handout, you need to have the quotient rule open, right? It's just coming after the product rule. And the first thing we're going to do is look at this rule here. So we're going to do what we did last time. We're going to rewrite it in a simple language without the bothering about the x here. So it looks like this: u prime v. I've inverted these two. I think it should be the other way around, really. It doesn't matter. Minus u v prime over v squared. That's the quotient rule. Note here, u v. This is a bit like the product rule, except there's a minus, and then it's more difficult because we need to divide by the square of v of x. That's just how it works. I'll show you this on the example given here. Just like before, we'll write out what u of x is, and u of x is x squared. Okay, it's simply the numerator. So u prime of x is 2x, and we'll repeat the procedure for v of x. v of x is what I'm dividing by, the denominator, 4 minus x, and v prime of x is equal to -1. So now I can do the derivative. Y prime, okay, start with the formula, it's always good. U prime v minus u v prime over v squared, and let's substitute in there. I get 2x times 4 minus x, don't forget to use brackets, minus, watch out, there's minus here, x squared, and v prime is -1, divided by v of x squared. So let's use brackets here too to square that. And I can finish off with simplifying a little bit. Let's look at the numerator here. Simplify to end up with x squared plus minus x squared. If you simplify this, minus x squared plus 8x. You can pause here just to make sure you really get that numerator correct. Right. Note that I could have turned this into actually a product, writing like this: x squared times 4 minus x to the power of -1, and then use the product rule. As a practice, it would be good if you did that. Okay, and you'll see actually it doesn't make it much easier. It doesn't make it easier, you'll see, but it would be a really good exercise to pause the video now and just on a piece of paper somewhere try to apply the product rule to this product here: x squared times 4 minus x to the power of -1. Okay, let's go to the next page and let me take you through some of these exercises here. The first one, do you see it looks like a quotient? It looks like u over v. But if I were to use the quotient rule on this, I will get something really complicated. Okay, it's going to be much more difficult than I simply identifying that I can actually simplify here. Since this is x cubed minus x to over x to the power of a half, I can divide each of these terms in the numerator by x to the power of a half, and I get x to the power of, subtract the indices, 3 minus a half. Okay, that's going to be 5 halves. Okay, minus x to the power of 1 minus a half, that's going to be x to the power of minus a half. Sorry, actually, I've just made a mistake. This is +1. This is +1. Okay, so 5 halves. So sorry, I've got confused here. So let's take the derivative of this. This is going to be a half x to the power of minus a half. Okay. And now let's rewrite this in more pretty stuff. So that will look like this. 5/2 x to the power of 3 and the square root of that. Okay, minus 1/2 root x. I suppose I could rewrite this as 5x squared minus 1/2 root x. I'll let you pause the video here and just work through the logic of this. Okay, do that. I told you this unit is a lot about algebra, and this will help you with your algebra to do these things. Okay, let's look at the second example here. All right. So now here. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say one more thing about here. So you can see that using the quotient rule on this example, that would have been really much more difficult than stopping and say, okay, it looks like a quotient, but can we do something else? I recommend actually that you try using the quotient rule, see if you come up with the same result. You should, but it's going to be more complicated. Here, let's look at it a little bit. It doesn't look like I can do any simplification. So I'm going to have to use the quotient rule. So let's do that. Let's write it on top of the page because we don't have much space here in the handout. So u of x equals 2 plus root x. So u prime of x is therefore 1/2 x to the power of minus 1/2. Let's do the same for v of x. It's the denominator, 3 minus x squared. No, sorry, not x squared. Let's take that off. I need to erase this. Let's go back to the pen. Right, 3 minus x, that squared. And v prime of x is, okay, right, now I have to use the chain rule. Do you see that? The outside function is something to the power of 2. So the derivative of that will be the something, 2 times the something to the power of 1. The inside is 3 minus x. Now I need to multiply by the derivative of the inside, minus 1. And I'll just clean this up before I start using it. So minus 2 times 3 minus x. Okay. And now I'm going to use the product rule. So y prime, start with the formula, u prime v minus uv prime over v squared equals. Let's substitute in there. So that's going to be 1/2 root x. I've already cleaned it up a little bit here for u prime times v, 3 minus x squared, minus u is 2 plus root x, multiplied with v prime, minus 2 times 3 minus x. And then the whole thing over the square of v. So I need to write v, 3 minus x squared, but it's that squared. So what's something squared? And if you square that, you actually get to the power 4, isn't it? So that's to the power 4. Right? Okay, now what can we do? Well, note that we've got, I'm going to change color here. Note that we've got a 3 minus x in the denominator, and we have a 3 minus x in this term and a 3 minus x in that term. So I can actually simplify. Right? I can cancel this and one of those here, so let's change that to 1, with one of them. Right? Okay, so once I've done that, I can simplify a little bit. My denominator is now going to be 3 minus x to the power of 3. and I'm left here with 1 over 2 root x times 3 minus x, and then this minus together with that minus 2 becomes a plus 2 times 2 plus root x. Okay, now I'll stop at this stage. I don't think there's much point in trying to multiply anything out here anymore. That's going to be good enough for now. And finally, let's look at the third question. We will just start this one, so that's a little bit more complex. I just want to do one thing here, is that, do you see I've got a quotient here underneath the square root, and I can't simplify this quotient. So it's going to be, I'll call the whole thing here g of x, because I will need to use the chain rule together with the quotient rule. Right? And because I will be wanting to use the chain rule, let's do that here. Y prime equals, well, the outside function is square root of x. So if I find the derivative of that, it'll be a half, and then g of x, okay, whatever that's, well, it's going to be this, to the power of minus a half, and then unfortunately I'll have to multiply with the derivative of g of x, isn't it? That's the chain rule. So you can see here, to find g prime of x, I actually will need to do that, to use the quotient rule. Right? Okay, so in red now, I will, in order to keep on going, I'll need to find g prime of x. So I will find g prime of x here by defining u of x as x minus 2. It's the numerator. Find u prime of x. U prime of x is x plus 1. Repeat with v of x. That's, sorry, what am I saying? U prime of x is not x plus 1. The derivative here is 1, of course. V of x is x plus 1. And v prime of x is 1. That's good. The derivatives are 1 in both cases here. Right? Okay, so now I can find g prime of x by using the quotient rule. U prime v, so u prime is 1, so I'll just have v, x plus 1, okay, times 1, but it's okay, leave it out, minus uv prime, so u is x minus 2, times 1, but I can leave that away, right, divided by v squared, so x plus 1 squared. Okay, now let's actually simplify this a little bit. If I look at the numerator, the x will disappear. X minus and times minus 2 will be plus 2. So I end up with 3 over x plus 1 squared. And that's good now. I can use that result, this result here, in g prime of x. I can carry on with this reasoning here. I can do a half times square root of x minus 2 over x plus 1 to the power of minus a half times 3 over x plus 1 squared. Now, in class, we will actually continue simplifying this, but this is hard, so we'll stop here, we'll stop the video, we'll do the rest one in class. I hope you still have some space somewhere. Okay, see you soon.